All right, guys. So for today's video, we're going to be talking about the Candace Owen Ben Shapiro debacle that's happening right now. I wanted to give it a few days just to see if there was any more videos or evidence of stuff that was being referenced in regards to what Ben was saying, because a lot of people are confused or saying, I don't know what he's talking about. What did she do that was so disgraceful? And in doing a little bit of research, there was a few clips that I came across that I'm going to be playing that I think might have to do with him saying that she's been so disgraceful. So without further ado, I'm going to play some of that now.
Of course, Charlie has been very pro-Israel, and I'm not questioning that. But for me, I think people objected to that more if we're dissecting it as an issue of tact. Like, this has just happened, and now you're on Patrick Bet-David saying, was there a stand-down order? It's like, look,
well,
we're going to get
Review basically implied that he was anti-Semitic. They didn't say it was a timing or a tact issue, and that's why I rushed to defend him, because it's like, this is a kid that's put in a decade of his life defending pro-Israel causes. If you're throwing him under the bus and asking why other people won't be allegiant to you, well, this is a good example of why, because we're seeing how Charlie Kirk is being treated, and he has been unbelievably pro-Israel, and even his heart. And when he was asking these questions, was pro-Israel. What happened here? Why did so many die? I know how quickly I could get across there. The military failed the people. I mean, those are good questions to ask. You know, I would ask these questions as if it was my family member, I would want to know. I would say they could be alive.
You might not want to know at the funeral. You know what I mean? You might want a minute to grieve.
And so, but just to move back to the university discussion, there are a lot of people in America that are sitting here going, okay, well, can you answer why Jews are so special? Because as white people in this country on university campuses, we are being taught that we are not allowed to have a voice. We have had to endure exactly what you're talking about, BLM. We've endured much worse than you have because it's in the actual textbooks. We are being told that we are systematically racist, that we are born wrong because of the color of our skin. And if we say anything, we'll lose everything. This is the typical experience on white campuses. So people, this is not whataboutism. This is like actually what we have been fighting for years. So it sort of arrived as, I think, for a lot of Americans, a surprise when they're saying, well, now that it's about Israel, which is something that's overseas, we need to, you know, hand these university professors, we need to do something about this issue. Why weren't we trying to correct course on this issue? Why weren't donors pulling their funding out of these universities? Why weren't these same things being said for these last, I would say, 8 years of rampant BLM, white man can't do anything right, actively being taught in the classrooms?
So, I mean, Ben being Jewish, you know, the Jewish community right now is suffering. I can understand why somebody would be probably upset with her saying, like, what makes Jews so special? You know, white people have been dealing with this for the past 8 years and this and that. And nobody's calling for these professors or these students to, you know, get kicked out or lose their job with this anti-white rhetoric. But as soon as it becomes anti-Jewish rhetoric, we're all rah, rah, rah. So I can definitely understand why anybody who is Jewish would have an issue with this. Now, that being said, in that same interview with AJ, that comedian there, he references her tweet here: no government anywhere has a right to commit genocide ever. There's no justification for a genocide. I can't believe this even needs to be said or even considered at least a bit controversial to state. Now, you know, he pointed out that the left right now is saying that Israel's committing genocide on Palestinian people. So her putting this out, you know, at the time that she did kind of enforces this rhetoric that that's what Israel is doing. She said that she was actually referencing this in regards to previous tweets that she had done a few days prior when she heard somebody in parliament mention like there was no innocent Palestinians. And she thought that that was just a crazy statement to say, that, you know, the people in our government shouldn't be saying that, because then you're basically condoning the complete annihilation of all Palestinians because none of them are innocent.
What I have said is that explicit calls for genocide, which was stunning to me to see that in Congress, are completely wrong. It is frankly crazy. I have not weighed in on the IDF's response in the same way that I have consistently said through every war, Ukraine and Russia, I don't want to be involved. I have said I don't want to be involved in Israel and Palestine, all these conflicts. My consistency seems to offend people, right? But I haven't made a single tweet or a single comment on IDF's response in Palestine. I haven't said a single thing about that. I have said it is always sad when a child dies. And the lack of humanity that I have seen from both sides has been very troubling for me. But to say that I have to weigh in and suddenly, you know, wave an Israeli flag and say things that, you know, because you decide that you get to use my platform because it's personal to you. How is that fair to people? How is that fair? And then to go a step further and to suggest that it might be anti-Semitic, which is basically silence is violence, as a leftist tactic, to me feels very extreme, very extreme.
Mm-hmm.
Again, as for mentioned, that's what I think Ben was referring to as, you know, her being disgraceful and stuff. And after that video went out, she ended up going on to Tucker Carlson show on Twitter, which I think was already scheduled. However, prior to that, she posted this biblical text, and towards the end of it, it says, "No one can serve two masters. You cannot serve both God and money." Which then Ben decided to reply to, saying, "Candace, if you feel like taking money from the Daily Wire somehow comes between you and God, by all means, quit." And this is kind of when it starts going nuts. So right after he posts this, Candace quickly replies, "You are utterly out of line for suggesting that I cannot quote biblical scripture. The Bible is not about you." Which then she doubles down about 6 minutes later, saying, "You have been acting unprofessional and emotionally unhinged for weeks now, and we have all had to sit back and allow it and have all tried to exercise exceeding understanding for your raw emotion. But you cross a certain line when you come for scripture and read yourself into it. I will not tolerate it." Again, I'm just a dude on the internet. You know, we're all just observing all of this happening. However, I think a lot of us can come to the understanding that this may have been targeted towards Ben, more so than not, especially after that video just came out and then this was posted. But as for mentioned, she went onto Tucker Carlson's show and he asked her about this whole situation, and this is what she had to say.
The internet was dominated yesterday by video of Ben Shapiro, who you work with at the Daily Wire. I think it's fair to say attacking you. Here's the video. I just want to get your reaction to it.
Yes, the question was about Candace Owens. I think her behavior during this has been disgraceful. Without a doubt. I can't cause that. Yeah, I mean, she still works for my company. And I think she's been absolutely disgraceful. I think that her faux sophistication on these particular issues has been ridiculous. It's not faux sophistication, it's ridiculous. Everybody can see the moves that she's making and the things that she's saying, and I find them disreputable.
So maybe there's a point in the video where he explains what exactly you did wrong and how you were wrong. I haven't seen it. But to call somebody, quote, absolutely disgraceful, particularly a coworker, seems like a pretty big step. And I really don't know the background here. What is that about?
You know, there isn't much of a background. I saw the video when everybody else saw it when I woke up.
No one warned you about it.
Nobody warned me about it. It looks like maybe he didn't know he was being recorded. It looks like it was some sort of a private event. I got no clarity on the issue that he was particularly speaking on. And in what was said, I can't respond to it beyond what he's saying because it's just ad hominem attacks. I don't know.
Yeah, because it's not, we disagree, or I don't think she's correct, or maybe she doesn't know what she's talking about. It's absolutely disgraceful.
Yeah, exactly. And so I can't respond to it on a level of intellect because there's nothing that he has expressed in that, at least in that short clip, that he fundamentally disagrees with in terms of what I said. But I will say that I'm not going to respond with the same ad hominem attacks. Yes. I don't think it helps further discussion. And if that was me that was caught on a video saying that about colleagues that I work with, I would be embarrassed. So I think that the video speaks more to Ben's character than it speaks to mine.
Has he texted you to apologize or explain or anything?
No, nothing. I haven't heard a single word. It just was sort of something that he said. And, Ben lives in Florida. He's not a part of the day-to-day movement of the Daily Wire. The rest of the hosts have their shows situated in Nashville. So we see each other every day. We talk. There's great camaraderie. Yes. And there's actually more agreement. There's actually a lot of people that are, as I describe myself, just pro-America first. And I think I've been that way consistently throughout my political career. Whether people agree with it or not in different moments is up for debate. But I don't want that video to become a reflection of how the Daily Wire works and the Daily Wire operates, because I have had a very good experience with the CEOs and, love Michael Knowles, love Matt Walsh, Andrew Klavan. We all get along really great.
Now, me personally, I think that this is a pretty childish behavior on both sides of this debacle. I don't think that any of this dirty laundry should be being aired out. If again, Ben has a problem with what she's been saying on her show, or, you know, he just wants to maybe express how he feels about what she's saying, he could have done that on a one-on-one, maybe phone her, maybe just message her privately. Maybe again, like she said, he didn't know that he was being recorded. But again, if he was openly willing to say this in public, but if he was, you know, willing to openly say this at this event, I'm sure he probably could have assumed that it may get back to her some way or another. Now, it's great that she's saying she wouldn't attack him like this, but doing this whole Twitter spat online thing is no better than kind of what he did in that video. Now, towards the end of what she was stating there is like some other Daily Wire members also kind of have the same sentiment as her. And I found this clip from Matt Walsh when he was talking about Nikki Haley in the presidential debates in regards to Israel. So here's that clip.
But that wasn't nearly as bad as this tweet that she sent out during the debate. She was doing a lot of tweeting during the debate somehow. And she also tweeted this. She says, there would be no Hamas without Iran. It's not that Israel needs America. America needs Israel. This is not the first time we've heard her say this. First of all, it's not even remotely true. What are you talking about? You really expect us to believe that America benefits more from its alliance than Israel benefits from that same alliance? That is nonsense. No, Israel greatly benefits from America. And besides, if this was true, then doesn't that undercut your entire argument for helping Israel? This is not the first time she said this. Multiple times she has said, well, Israel doesn't need us, we need them. If that's true, then how can you say that in one breath and then in the next breath tell us that it is imperative for the United States to help Israel? I thought you said they don't need us. I mean, they don't need us at all. We could not exist, according to you, and it would make a difference. You cannot say both of those things. You cannot say they desperately need us and also they don't need us. And aside from that, it's an insane way to speak about your own country. Nobody talks like this about their own country outside of America. Do you think Israelis say this kind of thing about Israel? They don't need us, we need them. This is not how people talk about their own countries. This is a uniquely modern American phenomenon. It's like a sickness, a mental sickness, where some of our leaders, or would-be leaders, profess greater admiration and love for and pride in foreign countries than their own. It's just a crazy thing to say. Again, you go, especially anywhere outside of the, outside of the Western world in particular, and you're not going to ever hear this kind of thing. It's your country. You're supposed to say, yeah, they need us. We're important. Like, that's how you're supposed to feel about your own country. You don't put another country above yours, especially if you want to be in charge of it.
So from this, I can take that Matt Walsh is more aligned with Candace Owen in terms of America first. You know, they're American. They want to see America thrive. They don't agree with all this foreign policy of sending all this American money to these other countries to help them and aid them in different wars or different situations. I can see Ben's side, you know, very Orthodox Jew. The Israeli plight is very deep and ingrained in him. So I can understand his pro-Israel support. The thing that sucks, though, is that's what I loved about the Daily Wire. And I mean, I still like the Daily Wire. But having all these different points of views, you have the Jewish commentators, you have the Christian commentators. You have the younger Brett Cooper to add a little bit of flavor to the Daily Wire. You have Dave Rubin. You just have all these little elements that make up the Daily Wire, which is great. You have all these different viewpoints. A lot of them do kind of cross over because they all have basic principles. But in regards to where this goes from here, I want to play a small clip from Megyn Kelly's show today, where she actually talked to Dave Rubin, and this is what he had to say.
I think Candace's reaction to October 7th has been very disappointing. She basically said something to the effect of, I'm not an expert in these things. We don't have to comment on everything. except she's in the business of commenting on everything, and she does comment on everything, but she's had a couple moments related to things with Jews where she seems unable to comment. So people can glean into that what they want. I'm really trying to be as measured here as possible. I think the bigger problem that they're having is that Candace wants a glorious exit. And nothing would be better than if the Jew fired her so that she can go launch a new media company, maybe with Tucker. I don't know exactly. But Ben sat on this for a long time. Ben's been getting hit from people on his side saying, oh, you let someone who works for you. And I don't know that Ben fully runs operations there anymore, but he's the face of the Daily Wire. You let this person continue to work there after the craziness with Kanye and everything else. So Ben is getting hit on both sides, right? He's getting hit on the Candace side of things. And then he's also getting hit from his base saying, oh, we told you, like, what did you think was going to happen here? So
now, I wasn't sure what Dave was talking about in regards to her way out, if she was fired or not. However, as of today, I believe this is Candace's last episode or last live podcast that she's going to be doing on her show. Because she's going on maternity leave. So kind of a weird situation to have all of this blow up just before she's going to be off on leave. But yeah, I'd love to hear from you guys what you think about all this. Hopefully no more of this dirty laundry gets aired online, or this spirals into something different. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Are you, more Candace's side, more Ben's side? Are you kind of in the middle? How do you feel about this whole situation? And as always, I will catch you guys on the next one. Thanks so much.